Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. We are fortunate to have Hunter Howard, the president of Hormone Therapeutics, with us today. And so, Hunter, I want to welcome you to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, kind of at the outset of this, wondering if you could give us a glimpse into your personal life.
Absolutely. So I'm a serial healthcare and health tech entrepreneur. This is my third health tech company I've started. Really, I'm about kind of just exploring new things and trying new things. And so for me, travel is a passion of mine. Foodie, I'm a foodie where I've traveled 97 countries, and so much about my life is going out and exploring and experiencing new things. I feel like that's what we're here for, is to leave this planet with as much, as like robust experience as possible. It's a huge part of what drives me every day.
Okay, great. So 97 countries. Any countries you've been to more than once?
Too many countries I've been to more than once. It's funny. My first company was actually, I was doing outsourcing strategy for Dell. I just graduated from business school. I was taking U.S. business units, moving them, re-engineering them, moving them overseas. I knew it was time to start working for a Fortune 100 company. And that's when I decided to take that and apply that business knowledge to what I wanted to do. I started a company in Sri Lanka where I had 900 employees eventually working for me doing medical billing. So we were the back office, insurance claim processing, medical billing.
Wow.
It was a big part for me was doing something on the business side that I was excited about, but also something that kind of fulfilled that itch for me of going out and exploring the world, where I had, just interacting with these people, these 900 members of the team in Sri Lanka, going there and going to elephant orphanages over there, bottle feeding baby elephants that were saved from a war in Sri Lanka. It was, these furry things that come up to your mid thigh. Was just some amazing experiences. I've, just really love being part of a raw experience like that. We're just kind of experiencing the world. It's just, it lets you, a lot of people think travel allows you to see the world. The most important thing is you come back and it allows you to see your own world differently. And that's the best thing that I took from that.
That is very instructive. Now, when you go on these trips, are you going with friends, or are you going solo?
But in those trips, I usually go on solo. So I go to Sri Lanka, go over for a month at a time, work with the operational team, and kind of roll the sleeves up. I've got my family. We've always loved to travel, so we used to spend a lot of time in Europe when I was growing up, and then I have a number of friends that I've met. That, in fact, a friend of mine just was the youngest woman ever to now travel to every country in the world, and so Cassandra just broke that barrier. So I love entrepreneurs and I love seekers. I love people that are lifetime learners, and so anybody who's out there kind of disrupting the status quo business wise or trying to, these people inspire me, and so I love to be around people like that.
Well, thank you for sharing that, and I'm inspired when I see people traveling the world, traveling to countries that I would love to see, learning about. It takes me back to some of the humanities classes I had back in university.
Right.
To get into culture and understand how people think, it's just it's invaluable, really. So
in China, and just a lot of work experience, but a lot of personal experience, and it's an absolute passion of mine, that in trying new foods and experiencing new things. Yes.
Right. Well, I can see. You talk about being a foodie. Imagine you've had several meals that I don't know that you could pronounce half of them. Right.
I'm actually writing a book right now, and I don't know if you're familiar with YPO, the Young Presidents Organization. It's 44,000.
I am.
44,000 presidents from around the world. You have to be certain minimum requirements in terms of the company size. I'm actually chairman of the Fine Dining Network for YPO International, and so what we're doing.
Okay.
There are 300 something chapters around the world, and we're getting the foodie from each chapter to say, here are my 15 favorite restaurants in my town. And it's not just the white linen tablecloth fine dining, but also where is the place the cab drivers go, this local cuisine that nobody knows about. You're going to get that true experience run by some family that's been doing this in some places for centuries. And so it's, those recommendations by the president, who's the foodie for that chapter in every city. So we're putting together a book right now called Where the Presidents Eat, and it'll just be their insight into this is where you should go when you come to my town.
Well, that's very cool. I think that will be a hit with a lot of people around the world who certainly I know presidents probably travel quite a bit, so I think that could be very valuable. Well, take us. You seem like a very competitive guy. Always wanted to do the next thing, but it sounds like you like to challenge the status quo. I'm curious as to, take us back to when you were, say, 7 or 8 years old. What did you think? What was the forecast at that time? What did you want to be when you grew up?
My first career was in sports marketing. I graduated from college, and I've been a huge sports fan my whole life. But my first job was with the New York Knicks in the U.S. Tennis Open, and very quickly figured out that I love the business side of sports also, and so got into the business backside of it, of just the companies that are funding sports and kind of using that as a marketing tool. So I did that through my 20s through business school. Absolutely loved that. I was passionate. I was a passionate sports fan, but then went back to business school and saw kind of other ways that were even more interesting to me to find to disrupt things on a business standpoint.
Okay, you keep talking about passion. For you, what is passion composed of, according to Hunter Howard?
One is just seeking knowledge. It's seeking, kind of like going out to be a lifetime learner. Somebody's going out experiencing new things and absorbing new things. That's very important for me. What's kind of led me into my last company, though, has been a personal passion where it's interesting. So Metagain was my first company. It was a medical billing company, and we had operation overseas. And it was very stressful towards the end as we were looking to sell it. We found a private equity firm that was very interested in our model, and they came out and we wrote it with a very nice exit there, and exited. And it should have felt on top of the world, but something was wrong with my body chemistry. And so instead of being able to just literally on a beach in the Maldives, and I just left Sri Lanka right after we sold the company, and I thought I was going to be the most relaxed I ever felt in my life, and something was wrong. I spent then the next year of my life going to see a lot of doctors, taking a lot of tests, and we eventually found so many different waiting rooms, so many different doctors. Eventually found out that I had low testosterone levels, I had late onset food allergies, where I live in Texas and I'm allergic to corn tortilla.
Oh, really? Oh my goodness.
I had 17x gluten intolerance. If the normal range is 0 to 2, I'm 17 times that out of the range. So all these things were happening kind of late in life, and I felt terrible. And so once we finally kind of found the right specialist and took all the right tests, it was actually really easy to change my life. I mean, I had psoriasis that had developed, a number of things that had happened because of these things were happening internally because my body chemistry was off. And once we got those tests taken, it was really easy to resolve them. But my primary care doctor the whole time was prescribing more medications, doing all these different things that were just really confusing. So it really kind of opened up a new kind of insight to me of there's all these answers that are inside of you if you find the right doctors and take the right test. And so my passion these days is now, we believe that's your scientific map, that can be decoded inside of you through advanced testing and through really specialists. And so we use it, so the new company that started, Hormone Therapeutics, is based on decoding your scientific map to your personal health optimization. Primary care physicians get 4 hours of training on nutrition in medical school. They get 0 training on optimizing your declining endocrine system.
Okay.
Years ago, the average life expectancy was 38. Now it's 78. And so we have a 64% increase in life expectancy in 0.001% of human existence. So we have this massive hockey stick that's happening where we're living longer overnight than we ever have before. And our body kind of is not ready for that. And there's so many things we're going to introduce to our bodies also that are making it more difficult to act optimally. So just, my personal experience of realizing how easy it was to actually make some minor lifestyle modifications and also use physicians to help balance things that may be off balance has been life-changing. And so we find, just trying to find people who are having the same issues. I mean, our mission is to add 20 healthy years to every life. Right now,
wow.
genetic testing that's happening, that we're living a lot longer. But it's not just about living longer. It's not just about your lifespan. It's about your health span. And so how do you improve your health span as you are living longer? And that's what we're focusing on. And it's changed my life. And the people who are looking for help, and they go to the primary care doctors who are great primary care doctors, but they weren't ever trained on these types of things, don't know how to help people live healthier. They know how to have medications. And it's been an eye-opening experience we have this fee-for-service triage crisis management healthcare system, which is really a sick care system where you're prescribing medications versus what is the personalized medicine around it, personalized health lifestyle modifications. I think this is the future of healthcare. I'm positive this is the future of healthcare. You will always have the triage crisis management, but how do you help people live their healthiest life? It's changed my life, and I hope to enable everybody else to do the same thing.
It's interesting. I wouldn't say the last 4 guests, but we've had about four or five guests on the show that have talked about changing the sick care model to, a preventative care model, to a model that suggests that on an ongoing basis, you're looking to do things to stimulate, quality of life that can be that is influenced by things like, some of the medical devices that are coming up. Certainly, wearable technology is helping to influence more preventative care and an increase in people's quality of life. But it is interesting. I haven't sought for specifically. It's not my mission to find as many companies out there that are focusing on these types of models. I know doctors are listening to this, and I do hope that through this thread of people that are trying to get away from the sick care model, I do hope it influences change. And if you wouldn't mind just walking us through, after you had learned about some of the changes of, I guess it was Hormone Therapeutics, I think you're kind of alluding to, that was the change for you, and then you've kind of scaled a company doing this and helping other people. Would you mind unpacking this a little bit more for us?
Sure. It's Hormone Therapeutics has a telemedicine model, and so we have physicians in about 40 different states, and so we also have different specialists that are world-class and specific. So our first service line was hormone replacement therapy, low testosterone for men. It's menopause for women, and a lot of doctors, if you're in South Beach or New York or Beverly Hills, you can find an expert physician. But if you're in or Springfield, the doctors have no experience in this area, and they understand it, but they have no experience in it. So we said, how do we provide that type of access of a world-class physician to somebody anywhere in the country? So that was our first service line for hormone replacement.
That's a good question.
Company, doing that. And so we can send a phlebotomist or a nurse, or we can send a kit, or we can send you. We have 4,000 lab testing locations around the country. So we set you up with that, and then it's teleconsultations. Once we developed that, we're about a year and a half in right now. Now we're looking at other service lines. What can we do to test from afar, and then use our internal telemedicine team, both the lifestyle modifications from the nurses or also the physicians, to be able to prescribe as needed. And then, so we start with genetic testing to really find out what is your genetic profile to help you figure out your best, how you should exercise, how you should eat, how you should sleep. We also then, that drives some of the other aspects of the lifestyle modifications. We test your endocrine system, figure out your balance there. That's really kind of a prescription program. Your pharmacogenetics, how do you metabolize different medications? What should you be taking? What should you not be taking? Everybody is kind of in this, one size fits all, prescribe this, where men and women should have massively different prescriptions for the same type of drugs, and most doctors don't do that. Some drugs do not metabolize well with your personal genetics, and the answers are all there inside of you. Your gut bacteria is so closely linked to your physical health and your mental stability what does your biome say? And so we do testing on your biome to figure out, do you have the right bacteria strains for a healthy life? And so I actually, when I was in Sri Lanka, I unfortunately took antibiotics and I actually disturbed my biome. And so you got to be very careful with antibiotic use. But so after about a year of kind of working through that, I was able to get my biome back in a healthy state. Do you know what telomeres are? Telomeres are the strands on the end of your DNA, and every time your DNA splits, your telomeres get a little bit shorter. Your gene splitting it's one of the most important things about life. And so once your telomeres get shorter and shorter and shorter, at a certain point when they're too short, your cells can no longer split anymore, and that's when they go into senescent state. And so actually, your telomere length tells you your cellular age. So we know what your chronological age is. Do you know what your metabolic age is? Do you know what your cellular age are? And all these different things kind of tell you kind of how healthy you are inside of you, not just how you feel, but actually give you kind of details. And these are the type of things that we test for, and then we can learn, how optimized is your health, and then help put you on a program to optimize these areas. Where are you deficient? Where are you optimized? What can we do to kind of help get you to your healthiest you? And so this is, this program where we're testing from afar, and then we've got world-class Dr. Kevin Light, the author of Outsmart Aging, writes all of our medical protocols and some of our areas. And he then gets involved with highly complex cases. But for the most part, we have the kind of the medical protocols written that our telemedicine team and our nursing physicians, they follow. But so we have different experts like Dr. Kevin Light that are kind of our go-tos who train our team and then, are available to dive in when we got truly complex cases.
Wow. There are so many different things we could talk about based on what you just said. I want to acknowledge you for surfacing something that I don't think is said enough, and that's that bodies are different, they metabolize things differently, that prescriptions, they aren't as cookie cutter as they're given out. I mean, they're given out in a way that, okay, this should work for you, but if not, we'll try this one. But if there was a way for people to understand a little bit more about their metabolism and how things work hormonally, boy, that would make a difference. I know I have a family member that had prescriptions for several years that just weren't, they weren't working for her, and she ended up going to the Mayo Clinic, which was very expensive to have a lot of testing done.
The prescriptions often make you worse, actually, and that's one of the problems. I was getting these medications for psoriasis that I had in my hair, and just, I was getting flakes in my hair, and they were prescribing all these really awful kind of, medications and salves to put on that. All it took was to change my diet, and it went away like that, versus medications I was taking. They were making my life worse. You mentioned the Mayo Clinic, and actually that's a really interesting point, because that's kind of a direction that we're going.
Okay.
We're not from the Mayo Clinic, obviously, but we actually just won a contest. Launchpad is a national health and wellness competition. We won their innovative healthcare startup competition about 2 months ago. And
really?
While we've been doing kind of the individual programs of let us test this, let us test each of these different, what we call 360-degree health optimization service lines, we presented an employee wellness platform. So if you are a Fortune 100 company, you're sending your C-suite, your C-level, the CEO, CFO, into the Mayo Clinic, the Cooper Clinic, Johns Hopkins for an annual 2-day head-to-toe physical, everything you can figure out. It's very expensive, and they're only doing it for the top guys. Okay, what we can do is we can send a nurse to any company in the country and do 90% of the same tests that they're doing. Now, we're not doing the VO2 max, we're not doing cardiac stress, we're not doing the MRIs. We're doing 90% of the same tests that these companies are doing for their CEO and CFO. We can do it for your entire sales team. We can do it for your entire company at a fraction of the cost. And then not only are we going to kind of do an annual health snapshot of a 2-day visit, we're going to do quarterly testing, and we're going to do milepost of here are the things we'd like to see change, here's some recommendations, and then do a quarterly testing and really help people achieve their healthy employee wellness. There's so many cookie cutter programs around. Exercise a little more, eat a little better, but like the true testing that you're doing for your C-level, we can do that for your entire company, help get your company healthier, more energized, more productive. And that's how we won this competition, kind of presenting this new kind of approach to employee wellness. So not just kind of going directly to the consumers that we have, but this is kind of the shift that we're doing this year of how do we help employees keep their employees healthy.
Yeah, when you talked about cellular age, boy, that piqued my curiosity. In fact, I mean, how does this algorithm even determine cellular age and hormonal imbalance?
With the hormonal imbalance is different, because that is, really looking at what are your endocrine system. There's about 30 different blood tests that we do there, and kind of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so and that's a blood test, and the telomere length is another blood test that we do, and we're able to go in there through the testing and measure the length of your telomeres. And so that your telomeres are, getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And so your telomere length then corresponds to how my telomere length were shorter than they should have been for somebody my age. And so one of the things we found is that all these tests are an eye opener for you. And a lot of times you might know something about how you're eating or your energy levels, and you have a sense that something's not right. But what you presented with, by the way, your telomere length, you're 45, you have the telomere length of a 65-year-old. Or you have your endocrine system, your estradiol or your total testosterone is suboptimal. And by the way, that's how do you feel this way? Do you feel this way? Do you see this happening in your daily lifestyle? And usually the answer is like, absolutely. So this is the reason why I feel the way I do. So these test results really, we've got two things we like to do. We've got the quantitative test results and the qualitative self-evaluations also. And then we kind of overlay the two of them. And so we're putting together a program to try to figure out what somebody's sweet spot should be for health optimization. Now, everybody is different, but those tests help guide us to helping them figure out, just what can I do to feel better every day, to be more productive, to have better cognitive abilities, to not be as irritable. All these little things that you just learn to deal with because that's your normal. They don't have to be your normal, because there's a reason why you feel that way. We can tell you why.
I'm curious as to how many times your recommendations could be directed to sleep alone. Do you feel like that's one of the major problems throughout the United States, is that people aren't getting enough sleep, and that affects people adversely?
So we just wrote a 25-chapter book actually on how to optimize healthy without any medications, some of these different things. And at the end of the day, it really is eat better, sleep better, reduce stress, and then also remove certain toxins and plastic. There's a lot of things that kind of can negatively affect you that are in the foods that we buy, all this. And so answer is actually at the end of the day pretty simple and a lot of things we already know, but if you get better sleep and all these different things, your endocrine system recharges and regenerates every night. And so your peak levels in the morning, and then kind of dwindle throughout the day. So if you're not getting quality sleep at night, it is massively affecting you in ways that you don't even understand. It's not that you're tired. Your organs aren't functioning the way they're supposed to. It's like driving a car with no gas, no oil, none of the aspects it needs to. You are self-replenishing every night. Same thing with food. It's amazing where if you get on a very healthy diet, how quickly you're able to replenish, many aspects of your. And it all sounded hokey pokey when I was younger. I'm like, okay, it's so actually simple of eating the right things. Everybody has kind of their own, certain people should not be eating certain types of foods, and those are tests that we can tell also. Certain people need to avoid gluten. Some people do better with carbs. Some people less. And we can tell you that. It's but if you find kind of the right diet, the right exercise, the right sleep for you, it really is a game-changing experience, and it's going to let you. It's amazing how it just changes your life.
Yeah, I was just thinking about kind of a cliche phrase of sacrificing good things for great things. And I would correlate that with some of my late night evenings where, I come home, play with the kids, be with my wife and family. Kids go to bed, and then my wife and I often will turn on Netflix, and sometimes that means I go to bed a lot later than I want to, and get not as much sleep because I'm up at 5 in the morning to start the day again.
Well, it's amazing when
And
I've learned some of these things where there's a lot of foods I used to eat that I knew might not have been good for me, but once you get presented with, okay, here's what it's doing to you, and then you realize, okay, the result of eating this thing that I have in my hand that I think I really want right now, and the next 45 seconds I'm going to be really happy I did. Here's how I'm going to feel tomorrow, or here's what's going to happen if I stay up and watch this movie. Kind of really, I'm doing a catch up on Netflix on something, but then tomorrow it's going to affect me this way. And once you have that data, that knowledge, it changes your thought process. Because I was eating a lot of things that I should not have eaten. I probably knew it. Now I look at it, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to put this in my mouth right now. And that's how it changed my life.
Wow. I think that could be very instructive to have that information, and to perhaps see a timeline, or to compare and contrast with someone else's timeline of things that have happened from someone else's experience of changing. I mean, your experience, for example, Hunter, could be very, very helpful. And so I'm curious now about so you use you have to do blood work and several tests to determine some of these qualitative and quantitative things. How are you working with healthcare providers? I think you said you work with labs.
So we have a number of labs we use across the country. We have actually 4,000 partner labs that we can send somebody to. The results come directly back to us. We've got
4,000.
Yeah, we got some partnerships with some of the larger lab companies out there. We can
Wow.
send or a nurse to any home in the country. We also have kits we can send depending on what we're testing for. We work directly with primary care physicians, but frankly, most of the time, though, somebody who's come to us when they're not happy with kind of the results they're getting with their primary care, and we're, I think, kind of pushing the envelope on what primary cares are really focusing on. So we're looking at different things. So we're happy. We absolutely share all the information with them, all the recommendations, and then it's up to the patient on kind of how they want to integrate us with their current care providers. We are, our big thing this year is going to be really working with ACOs, larger physician groups that might not have our services, and then also with the employers that have, want to help kind of introduce these healthier lifestyle recommendations, to their employees. And so that's what we're focusing on for the next year.
Okay, so for doctors listening in, healthcare providers listening in, what would you like to say to them in terms of how to connect with you and how to get something like this integrated within their healthcare system?
Yeah, absolutely. Please email me, Hunter at Hormone Therapeutics, and I just love talking about what we're learning and what we're doing, and would love to kind of offer our services as a kind of overlay to what they're doing. And so, they are the ones who know these patients the best. And so we've got the tests, we've got these details that can help them provide just another level of healthy lifestyle modifications, for their patients. And so contact us. We'd love to offer our testing services and be part of your solution.
Fantastic. I want to get into your life a little bit more, just to help people understand what it's like to be an entrepreneur, to scale these different ventures and to learn from some of the harder times. Would you mind taking us back to a time when maybe you feel like you failed in something entrepreneurial, and how that impacted how you scaled your career since?
I guess the skiing, if you don't fall in skiing, you're not trying hard enough. You're going to fail a lot as an entrepreneur. And the most important thing is then learning how to be agile and nimble, learn from that, and then be adaptive. So hopefully you've got a mission, and that you can kind of align your team, your partners around a mission. Our mission right now is to add 20 healthy years to every life. And so then we figure out how to fold different things into that. Now, we make mistakes every single day. Then hopefully you're learning from them, and then you're kind of improving on them. And so that's, continual improvement around that. I guess in some ways we're a little bit out ahead of the curve on what patients are looking for, and on a direct to consumer model that makes it a little bit complex on finding people. Now we know that these patients, they might not, they might have some issues that they're looking for additional help on, but they don't know how to find us. And so we're trying to figure out with this national platform, when people look for a physician, they look for somebody locally. They look for who is the best doctor in my town who can help me with this. And so it's a little bit complex in figuring out how you're going to now reach those people. And so we've got a great team of marketers, and we're just keep continuing to learn on how to reach these people who might need our help. And I learn something new every day. And if you're not learning, then you're not moving forward. So,
yeah, I've heard that wisdom is knowledge rightfully applied. And I think about that often when, as you say, there are many days where every single day we fail in something. We fail in a few things. And it could just be failing to keep to our goals. It could be failing to be integrable in how you treat people. Self-deception. I mean, there are just so many different things, and this life is a progressionary state, and we need as much help as we can get sometimes. I know I do. Wondering what one of the personal habits that you have adopted in your life that's contributed to a lot of the success that you've had, Hunter.
Personal habits are. I'm lucky to come from an amazing family. Something in here. I have an amazing family where two phenomenal parents, two sisters are two of the most accomplished, successful, just driven, dynamic, people that they inspire me every day.
Awesome.
Yeah, I guess one of the biggest problems is we continually set our own goals and our own levels, and so it's I am always driven by, okay, what can we do now? And it's inspired every day when I wake up, but how we can help people. And so unfortunately, if you're always continually setting the bars higher and higher and higher, and this is a very common problem with entrepreneurs is, are you meeting your own expectations versus the expectations that other people set for you? If you set the bar really high, you're always, you're driving yourself very, very hard. And so it's a very common issue for lots of entrepreneurs of, okay, just enjoy the moment. And so I need to kind of remind myself all the time, enjoy the moment, enjoy the people around you, enjoy the team, enjoy what you've accomplished versus, looking for the next hill to climb, the next mountain, the next country to visit, things like that. So that's something I need.
So it sounds like that's been one of your challenges then that you've had is maybe setting expectations that are too high. Is there a time in particular that you're thinking of where you set your expectations really, really high and you really, as a result, you didn't focus on a moment that you should have in life?
There's been many times when driving the team to achieve goals that I know are achievable, but are, going to take a lot to get there versus, making sure that the entire team is fully on board with taking, to go and scale that mountain. And so
that's a great point.
When you've got to really align everybody's interest, everybody in a way that if you're all inspired to go and take that peak, then that's fantastic. But if everybody's not, then sometimes you're pushing them in a way. And lots of, just really understanding everybody on the teams, what their motivations are, just making sure they've got the same kind of interest levels and scaling that peak. Because not everybody has to do that to be an incredibly valuable team member. And so, and building a team and a culture is such an important thing, particularly in healthcare. And so that's just something that, always just reminding we're not all wired the same way.
Very, very good point. A couple more questions I wanted to ask you, and then we'll wrap up the show. Looking forward now, I like to ask our guests if they could share three things that let's say today was your last day on the earth, and you had three things that you could share with the world that have become absolute truths for you. What would those three things be that you could share with us?
That's a fascinating question. So 3 truths that I would share with the world. The biggest ones that I touched on earlier is kind of just, for me, exploration has just kind of been such an important part of my life, and kind of learning, experiencing. One of the things I've told people is like, I want to flip over every rock on this planet. And that means go everywhere, experience everything, see, smell, taste, and just kind of accumulate these experiences. That's when that's something I really enjoy. And so that'd be the first one is,
Okay.
let you, a lot of people are not comfortable doing that, but for me, it's been a very important thing. Your friends and your family are the most important aspect of your life. And so there's just so fulfilling kind of surrounding yourself and giving back to them and telling them how much you cherish them and how important they've been. And then also finding your passion, and so, really when I started my first company, Metagain, this medical billing company, I wasn't sure at that point what I wanted to do, but I was looking at different industries to start my first job in. And my passion was travel. And I knew how to do things operationally when I was working at Dell Computers and re-engineering their US operation, moving overseas. And so I said, what if I combine these two, where if I started a company on the other side of the world in Sri Lanka, and something I knew I was really good at.
Yeah.
I was so inspired by the trips I was taking back and forth to Sri Lanka, where, on the way there, I might stop off for a couple of days, and the way back, I might stop off for a couple of days, really far-flung places that are too far just to go for a weekend trip. And it was an interesting way for me to combine my passions and my skills and my interest in a way that I was scratching all these different itches at the same time and doing something that I was pretty sure I was going to, was well suited to do from a business standpoint. So that's finding that passion and following it and kind of working that into your life so that work doesn't feel like work. Then it's, you are enjoying all these things, that you're creating your own life. Create the life you want to live by driving passion through it. So
I love that. I love that. Thank you very much for sharing those. And the last question I have for you, Hunter, is how, as you've gone these different entrepreneurial ventures, how would you say your definition of entrepreneurship has changed?
Wow, fascinating. When I started, particularly in tech in the late 90s, you had these visions of the Michael Dells of the world, these guys that have built these massive companies, the guys that hit not the home runs, like the grand slams, the 1000x companies. And that to me was what excited me about entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship actually is, to me, it's somebody who sees the world a little differently than the rest of the world does and says, I can do this. And there's something that's missing out there. And they don't need to be creating billion-dollar unicorn companies, but they might be finding something that, here's something in the marketplace that's missing. And so I think I can provide this. And almost all entrepreneurs just see the world a little differently than the rest of people. And they say, like, here's something I can do to kind of change things in a positive way. And I just find those people inspiring. And so really it's kind of the individuals who are just see the world a little bit differently and are driving to disrupt it in their own personal way.
Fantastic. Hunter, it's been an absolute privilege to interview you today, to have you on the show. I know this has been instructive. Again, would you mind sharing with our audience how they can learn more about you? And then we'll close up.
Great. My name is Hunter Howard, Hormone Therapeutics. We're headquartered here in Dallas, Texas. Please reach out to us anytime. My personal email is hunter@hormonetherapeutics.com. I answer every email that ever comes to me. I just, please reach out to us, call us. If there's anything we do would ever help you, just decode your scientific map to your personal health optimization. That would make me very happy. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, again, thanks so much. I'm going to end the show now. And if you wouldn't mind staying on for a minute afterward, I'd love to visit with you for just a minute more.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.